Tantive IV expansion brings huge ships out of the reserves and up to the front lines. With their weaponization, we'll see a much more aggressive role filled with these colossal ships. This iconic cruiser from A New Hope brings a full arsenal to bear, as well as many new upgrades and options for your fleet. Hey, I'm Dalton with NerdyRaptor, and don't worry, we're not leaving you. We're simply taking our partnership with the Louisville Game Shop to the next level and moving in. But for now, let's talk tabletop. Much like the other huge ship, the Rebel Transport, the Tantive IV breaks the established 1 in 270 scale that the rest of X-Wing follows, but we lose no detail for it. This thing is actually quite secure in there. I mean, the transport itself was in there. It had the plastic layers once again, but this has got twist ties and... Alright, so there it is. It's very cool. It's got the quad lasers. It has articulation on those, so you can move them around. No really point, it's just cool. You can move the dish on the back. There's a whole lot of detail to this. It's like the paint job. You can see the different guns, things like that. It's got the turbo laser batteries right there. The bridge. This thing is just truly massive. I'm very impressed. So now we get to the favorite part of these, the sheets and sheets of tokens. One of the cool things with this, however, is if you'll notice on, we'll go ahead and pull out the pilot cards. Once again, like the huge ship, there's only one pilot, but this ship is different in the regard that while the Rebel Transport was just one really big ship, this thing is two ships functionally. It has the fore and the aft, both having different actions that they can take, different upgrades they can take, and I mean, it's just to kind of really give you the scale, because if a ship like this could only do one action or fire one gun, it wouldn't feel right. Like, you see these size cruisers in like the Star Wars movies, and it's like doing planetary bombardments or just like fighting other massive ships. Like, it just wouldn't feel right. And Fantasy Life's done a really good job of bringing this into effect. Oh, but you'll notice that the range right there on the primary gun, which is a turret, much like the Millennium Falcon, is 3 to 5. Up until this point, the longest range in the game has been 3, which is pretty standard. We have the rangefinder right here. That's a standard one. This, however, for the gun for the main cannon, fits on like that. So you're able to have this not be there, so it's not a massive thing. And then whenever you need to measure the range for your big guns, that. Considering the game's usually played on a 4x4 board or 3x3 board, that's huge. That's just, I'm going to hit you. You get bonus defenses for being shot at because the ship's so far away, but I mean, just the amount of threat this thing can put on the board is just ridiculous. It's insane. It's got the same movement template that we saw with the transport, the 1, 2, 3, 4 with the bank. I'm not going to bother popping it out right now, but there we are again. We see some of the shielding tokens, and much like the transport in every ship except for the small ones, it's got the objective pieces. There are a lot with this. It comes with its own cinematic campaign, which is really cool because with it, each level is affected by who won, the Rebel or the Imperial player, which kind of changes the pace of the story told within it. Once again, continuing the trend set by the other huge ship, and one they said would be all huge ships, there are 2 damage decks, which means since this is effectively 2 ships, you can be reduced to one or the other. So if someone blows up the back, suddenly you can't do any actions that involve certain turns, things like that. It's crippling your engines, quite literally. And once they destroy both of them, the ship is gone. This comes with a variety of new upgrades, including new types of crew members, things like that. The coolest thing, however, is the fact that it has, as crew members, Leia, R2-D2, Han Solo, C-3PO. I know Han's never on this ship, but it's really cool to have like those iconic pilots and things like that available for this. Should add a new level of customization to it whenever you play it. So, once again, like I mentioned with the Rebel Transport, it does have a cinematic campaign with it, which is very cool. And once again, just the one. It's two-sided this time, so that's cool. And I found out that Fantasy Flight has been putting these campaign sheets on their website as a PDF, so they're available for download and printing. Yeah, this is actually almost as big as the rulebook for the thing. Actually, it's bigger, just the different missions for the campaign. There are a total of 4, and they each come with specific rules. It's a very different style of play than the one we saw with the transport. It's not as, you don't have as much customization per se, but it's a much more cinematic feel. It's even got a story that goes with it, which is cool. The main cannon is a turret, but since it can take extra weapons like the turbo lasers, the quad lasers, things like that, it's got the firing arcs available right there. And this actually sits a little bit further away than the transport did. With the transport, it was like that. With this, you've got a bit more wiggle room that wasn't available. Not on there as secure as it could be. Got it now, though. It would have been hilarious if it had fallen over right there and onto the floor. I would have cried on camera. We all would have seen that. This does break the scale established by the rest of the ships, like the transport did. But that's not a problem. I mean, can you just see the detail on this thing? It's even got burn marks from the engines to where it would be like constantly flying through space, and just you can see the escape pods on there, and just everything about this, like the paint jobs. You can see the bridge. It's kind of remarkable that they're able to do this and mass produce it, because I've played seen other miniatures games where they're produced on a scale, pre-painted, and they're never as good as the one that Fantasy Flight has done. And this honestly looks like a hobbyist or somebody had just like bought this model kit somewhere, assembled it, and just spent their free time just like pouring their creativity into this, painting it, just assembling. It's like, it's gorgeous. Like, I am truly like blown away with the detail put into this. Just to touch back real quick on the functionally being two different ships with the fore and the aft. This, I mean, both sides have different actions they can take too, which makes sense, because it'd be different parts of the ship, different functions, whereas like on the smaller fighters and things like that, it's all right there. Like, okay, well, I'm gonna target lock, or I'm gonna barrel roll, you're all at the helm. Like, it's no longer just a single pilot or a team, this is a crew. So something that's new to this is you'll notice the single pilot icon, which is just crew. So people like Han, C-3PO, R2-D2, people we've seen before. Other expansions have come with them as well. But there's also a portrait of multiple people. What those are people like your engineering team, your gunnery team, your sensor teams. These are literally groups of people represented. It's not just buying like bringing an ace or a character droid from the films. You're truly bringing a crew to the ship, which is a really cool way to do that. And the options they bring are exciting as well. Also with this is another new symbol, so the Tantive IV comes with its turret, which we've already established, but it's got all those guns on it too, and to help really balance it out, there's a variety of guns. You could take the single turbo laser or the quad laser cannon. As far as additional weapons, that's it, but if you'll notice on here, you've got slots so you can take more, so you can have duplicates, so you can really have an answer for every threat coming at you. And it's not just going to be a gunboat. You're going to be able to decide what and when you shoot, so it's not just going to be fire at will. It's really going to be able to pick your targets and the weapon best for them. Movement dial, which is, we've seen it, it's the huge ship one. There are a few extra things to it. It gets more energy because it spins a lot more energy than the transport does, because it's got to fire all those extra guns. Whereas the transport, as we all know, had no guns, and it was very boring for that reason alone. With the Rebel transport, we were given two different new ways to play. And they were fun, and they were cool, but as someone who did a few of the huge point games with just the transport, it felt almost like a liability. I mean, it was durable, and it did cool things, but it was a lot for not a lot in return. This, however, I'm very excited for, just with the wealth of weaponry available, the new options it brings. So any other ship that can take individual crew members can have some of these powerful allies now aboard them. And just the true teeth this has. I know a lot of people don't like that the huge ships are moving away from the dogfighting feel of the game. I don't feel like that's going to be the case with this. Once again, you can only use it in huge epic point games, But this is just going to be phenomenal on the table, I think. I think it's going to be very worthwhile for people looking forward to playing this style of games. And the cinematic campaign, as I've said before, actually has a story to it. So it's not just, oh, well, do this. Oh, that guy won? Next. There's actual ramifications within it. So it's a very, very, very cool expansion. It does have the downside of being a bit pricey, and for people who are dogfighting purists, it's not going to really tickle their fancy. It's, once again, like the Transport, a bit more of a collector's piece. However, I can see this being more worth your time picking up, just in case you ever do get to those massive scale games, just having one of these just flying around and obliterating your opponent's forces. Overall, I'd say it's a 7.5. It's a very solid 7.5, though. It's very cool, just the amount of options, and just like I've said, it's like a walking arsenal, or flying arsenal all on its own. I can see myself running it a lot more often than the Transport. I can see a lot of people getting a lot more fun and enjoyment out of the campaign that comes with it. Just overall brings enough unique options to the other ships as well, to where it's definitely worth your purchase. For all your nerdy needs, head over to NerdyRaptor.net and be sure to check out our other videos on the channel.